Вітаю! Починаємо брифінг, присвячений.
Greetings! We start the briefing devoted to exposing the propaganda and fakes of the aggressor state. So, let's start with a post that was published in his Telegram channel by former Russian president and now deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev. This post was specially created to keep him in the information space with his throw-ins. In his post, Medvedev publishes a supposed map of Ukraine. After Russia ends the war, it started against Ukraine, and this territory of Ukraine is limited to the Kiev region only. The entire territory of the left bank is marked as Russian territory, and the territory of western Ukraine goes to Poland, with the exception of the Chernivtsi and Vinnytsia regions, which for some reason should go to Romania. The goal of this throw-in by Medvedev is clear. It is to spread discouragement among Ukrainian citizens to the armed forces and reduce their desire to resist the aggressor. But Medvedev's publication only confirms that the goal of the war against Ukraine is not, as they say, to liberate the people of Donbass or to stop the shelling of Donbass territories by Ukraine. The goal is the destruction of Ukraine as such. With these messages, Medvedev confirms the information throw-ins that were made at the beginning of the war. Let me remind you that in the first days after the aggression began, the Russian state-controlled newspaper Komsomolskaya Pravda published an article written by the author referring to non-existent experts, and the author himself never dealt with Ukraine. That is, it was a specially prepared throw-in article about how there should be several states instead of Ukraine, or the territory of Ukraine should be divided among several existing states. This goes entirely back to the propaganda narratives that one of the ideologists of this topic, Timofey Sergeytsev, introduced before and after the outbreak of the war. He published his thesis in Russian state publications that Ukraine should stop existing. The most paradoxical thing is that he worked in Ukraine for candidate Yanukovych, serving his election headquarters in 2004, and that's when he threw into the information space a map about the three types of Ukrainians and about the division of Ukraine between different states. Now Dmitry Medvedev continues to pull this information line in his social networks. We thank him for confirming the veracity of Ukrainian reports that the goal of the war is the destruction of Ukraine, but not protecting the people of Donbass. In turn, the Ukrainians will not accept this and will continue to resist until they liberate all the occupied by the Russian state territories. By the way, these theses are confirmed by the publication on Russia Today, the Russian state agency signed by the journalist of the Russian state television company Alexander Sladkov, namely that Ukraine should cease to exist in the plans of the aggressor state. Quote, no autonomous republics at all, only Donbass deserved it, only full-fledged regions of Russia. That is, the Russian propagandist confirms Russia's intention to annex Ukrainian territories far beyond the Donbass. At the conquered territories, one must behave like a conqueror, and not a humble guest. The people like the owners, not the mumblers, informs Russian propagandist. Thanks for his thesis, which means that the goal is the destruction of Ukraine, thus leveling the statements of Russian officials that this military operation has limited goals and concerns only the territory of Donbass. Meanwhile, the Russian state media, such as Russia 24, referring to the statement of collaborators and Gauleiters, downplay the losses caused to the Antonivka bridge as a result of the attack by the armed forces of Ukraine. After these same collaborators declared that this bridge was no longer suitable for operation, they began to urgently correct themselves and refute their own words. The Antonivka bridge, which was fired upon by the armed forces of Ukraine, remained intact. Kirill Stremousov reported. Let me remind you that this is a collaborator who went to work for the aggressor state. Ukrainian Telegram channels continue to actively spread fakes on the internet, he claims. Why is there such inconsistency in the statements of collaborators? Because recognizing the fact of the destruction of the bridge, the Russian state propagandists actually sign that Kherson will be liberated from the occupiers in the near future, because without the bridge, it becomes practically impossible for them to continue to defend this territory which the Russians conquered. Meanwhile, Ukrainian special services have found evidence that the pseudo-referendums being prepared by the Russian invaders in the territories they occupied after the start of military aggression in 2014 already have a prescribed result. In particular, According to the data of Ukrainian intelligence, in the scenario plan of the occupiers in the referendum, in inverted commas, a result of 70% for the accession of the residents of the Donetsk People's Republic to join Russia. 1,400,000 voters are written to supposedly vote for it. The script is written in advance, but it will never be recognized by anyone, since it all constitutes the legitimization of Russia's military aggression against Ukraine. We urge you not to trust Russian propagandists, Russian media and Russian government officials, as they repeat the same lies in one second or another. In turn, we urge you to believe the official media of Ukraine, the official teleson, the military and political leadership of Ukraine. See you.